Hello and welcome to another deck primer here at StarCityGames.com. My name is Corey Baumeister. This week we are bringing you New Standard. New Standard is like Christmas morning to me. I just love seeing new interactions, try to shake up the previous standard format, the previous world we've been living in, and really see if the decks have the staying power to be a tier 1 deck, or if they're just flashes in the pan, or if the format has truly not evolved yet. Alright, so we'll get into the card choices here. This is a much more aggressively slanted vampire list from some of the traditional lists that you've seen in the past. I've been brewing this up for the last couple days, and I think it's very close to perfect. Not quite perfect yet, because there is a couple cards that I'm not necessarily super fond of, and we'll get to that here. So first we'll start with Sky Marcher, Aspirant, and Knight of the Ebon Legion. These cards are just great. These have been in the Vampire list before. Just phenomenal 1-drops here. They hit hard, and Knight of the Ebon Legion it's so insane. Like, early on, sure, it's fine. It can hit hard, but it has some cool interactions. If you're playing against a deck that isn't really threatening your life total, like Nexus or something, being able to go Knight into a Danto Vanguard and immediately pay to boost your Knight is just so good. Not only that, just having the ability to still be a vampire, so you have synergies with Lieutenant and Icon, Sanctum Seeker, Champion of Dusk. It's really insane. I've even had games where I went like Knight into double 1-drop vampires into Sorin Imperious Bloodlord, down tick, bring in a Champion of Dusk, then boom, the Knight triggers. It's like, you shouldn't be allowed to do these things in Standard. It's disgusting. The nut draws from vampires are some of the most powerful things I've seen in Standard since Temur Energy. And I'm not even exaggerating. It's truly busted. And all of it is on the back of Sorin Imperious Bloodlord. The card is just phenomenal. Alright, so on top of the 1-drops, I added Vicious Conquistador here. Being able to basically be a 1-mana 2/2. Now, this card does have some problems when you're on the draw against a heavy creature-based deck. It's sometimes hard to attack in, and it's not truly a 2/2 because if they have a 2/2, it does not attack into it. That is a good fact, but some of the plus sides of it gets around Root Snare from Nexus of Fate, so you're able to drain them out when they might be trying to prevent damage, which is a real thing. As well as if you need to push through those last couple damages, boom, it's kind of like one of the damages unblockable. 2 Legions landing. Now you may be thinking, excuse me, Corey? That's Legions landing. Flips into a Danto the First Fort. Did you not have enough rare wild cards, or what the heck is going on here? Believe it or not, the card's not as good as it used to be in this shell. We want to be much more aggressive, and we don't care as much about the Legion's Landing's activation as I would in kind of like white weenie decks in the past. It's just not as good. There is some good interactions with Saurus Imperial Bloodlord at being able to throw creatures at the face every single turn by just paying 4 mana. Don't get me wrong, that is great, but that's why I kept in 2, because you still get that interaction, and it's not just a 1-mana 1/1, because plain and simple, that's what it is. It's a 1-mana 1/1 that helps with your Ascend, and we're not really trying to ascend as hard as we would be when we had like Snub Horde Sentries or Sky Marcher Aspirants in the deck. Granted, we do have Sky Marcher Aspirants, but it's not as relevant. We'll go to the 2-drops here. A Danto Vanguard is still the truth. A Danto Vanguard is just so good at pressuring decks. It's so great at destroying Izzet Phoenix decks. It's that card's nightmare card. It's great against like red-black aggro, where there are a lot of any red-base removal deck. A Danto Vanguard is unbelievable. Also, we even keep it in against mono red now, because the combo with that, and you're going to be hearing me say this a lot, Sorin Imperious Bloodlord, you're able to basically put Squire's Devotion onto a Danto Vanguard, and that combo is always so sick, and that's just a +1 ability from Sorin. And then Legion Lieutenant, great card, Anthem effect, can't really not play it in this deck. Sorin Imperious Bloodlord, I don't even know if I have to say anything more about it. All 3 modes are disgustingly good. All of them are great plays in different situations. And if you can ever go turn 3 Sorin, down tick, play a Champion of Dusk, for 3 mana, you get a 4/4 that's going to draw you 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 magic cards. and you're going to get a 4/4, plus you're going to have a Planeswalker staying around. It's so busted. The amount of games that I win when I do that play has to be in the upwards of 90-95% or something. It's that disgusting. Then I got 2 Mortifies, just a good catch-all removal, good against basically everything. Basically what I want is this deck to not have any dead cards against any matchup, and Mortify at least has text against Simic Nexus and Esper Control hitting Search for Azcanta or Wilderness Reclamation, even in the face of not really having any creatures to actually kill. And then we have 1 Oath of Kaya, and then Icon of Ancestry. This is a last-minute inclusion for me, and after playing the games, I'm not going to spoil any results or anything, but after playing the games, I'm not really a big fan of the card. So moving forward, I would look to maybe change that card to maybe another Mortify and another Oath of Kaya, or maybe a Gideon, or maybe a Big Sorin. Those are kind of the, or maybe a 4 Sanctum Seeker. They're that good. Those are kind of the discussion points that I have about this main deck. Otherwise, I think the main deck is locked tight. Icon, I'm just not sold on it. It might be okay, but so far I'm not really impressed. Sanctum Seeker is very good. You have a 3/4 body, which dodges a good chunk of removal in the format. Still gets lava coiled, but that's okay, because you usually get to essentially get in some haste damage. It really reminds me of Hellrider. Hellrider did a little bit more damage upon impact, but at least this one, you still can play it. If you attack with 3 creatures, you essentially gave it haste, plus you get to gain a little bit of life. Great against red, great against Nexus, where you can drain those last couple of damages without fogs taking effect. So I really like that inclusion. Excuse me. And then Champion of Dusk. Champion of Dusk is a house in this deck. It is the main reason. Sorin Imperius, Bloodlord, and Champion of Dusk are a better couple than Ross and Rachel, in my opinion. This dynamic duo has been closing out games for me just every single match that I draw them together. It is insane. Even without Sorin, still just playing it on turn 5 to top out your mana curve is excellent. The mana base I'm a little questioning about here. I went with 22 lands, and that's 1 less land than maybe like Billy Huey Jensen made to number 1 with his vampire list. I cut 1 land because we definitely went a little bit more low to the ground than he was. And I really wanted to make sure our 1-drops were able to be cast on turn 1. So I added 2 unclaimed territories and cut a plains and cut a swamp. Now this does make our Legion's Landing a little bit worse, hence why I cut a few of them. So far the mana base has been great. Someone tag Frank Karsten in here and let him know how, or ask him how I did on that, okay? All right, then we'll move on to the sideboard here. For Duress, this deck is pretty weak to Kaya's Wrath and other kind of sweepers like that, so I really want to have Mass Disruption to be able to interact with those kind of draws, as well as Nexus to kind of take Tamiyo before it gets into the battlefield. Maybe Settle if Settle's still being played. It's Duress. You all know what it does. It's great. 2 cast down, mostly when I'm on the draw against any kind of creature-based deck that has like Wild Growth Walker, any kind of Llanowar Elves deck, maybe Elementals if I want to kill Risen Reef. Usually a pretty good all-star there. Noxious Grass, great against Nissa, great against Sultai. It's a very versatile card. Green and white stuff. Pretty simple there. D-Spark, phenomenal against a lot of things. We're Kindling Phoenix, Teferi, Simic Nexus. You really bring in D-Spark a lot. But you don't want D-Spark. People are going to ask, well, if you bring it in so much, why don't you put it in the main? Because let's say we get paired against, mono red. Sure, it hits Frenzy, but it's not that great. Or what if we get paired against mono white? Like, sure, it hits Conclave, but it's not that good. What if we get, every deck kind of has some targets, which maybe makes it okay to play in the main. Like, we were seeing Esper decks in the last format starting to play some in the main, and maybe it's okay. Maybe instead of the Icon of Ancestry, we go 1 D-Spark, 1 Mortify. Could be. I'm not entirely opposed from it. D-Spark is a phenomenal Magic card. Then one of what I would say is my pet card. We're returning to Ixalan Plains here to play the blood-sucking vampires. Why wouldn't we play some Ixalan's Bindings, right? The flavor's there. But for real, Binding is excellent against anything that is red based. So I would say like red black aggro, or is it Phoenix? Any deck that can't easily deal with enchantments, it's just phenomenal. It's so very good. You don't really want to bring it in against green decks in case they like go Vivian against you, and that just looks really bad. Pretty bad against Nexus because they can blink of an eye it and then get their target. But mainly against Is It Phoenix, Gruul, black-red, Rekindling Phoenix style, aggro. Ixalan's Binding is an all-star. Even mono-red getting a Frenzy with a Binding is magnifico. And then we have 2 Vona for anything where, first of all, lifelink matters. So this comes in against... This card, basically, think about it as your extremes of the metagame. It comes in against the insanely fast decks, like Mono Red, and it comes in against the decks that go way over the top, like Simic Nexus. You drop a turn 3 Vona, and they can't deal with it from the Nexus side. You extend the hand, and you sign the slip in your favor. It's that busted. All right, everybody, this is Fast Vampires for you. Make sure and stay tuned to the games. I hope you have as much fun watching and hopefully playing this deck as I did, because this deck is busted. Stay tuned. All right, and welcome to round 1 here with Fast Vampires. In testing, this deck has been very beastly. Let's see if we can keep it going. All right, so we are on the play. I would love to go first. So the unclaimed territory here are going to be doing some work. It's a little bit of fixing. I took a swamp and a plains away to kind of essentially add 2 more dual lands. Now with Legion's Landing, it does make it a little awkward, but we do have a 1-drop and a 2-drop here, and hopefully get Legion's Landing after that. And frankly, Legion's Landing is not that great in this deck. It's not like your traditional white deck that just absolutely loves and relies on Legion's Landing for late game. It's not that kind of thing. You want to be fast, you want to be killing, you want it to be more of an aggressive red deck in a sense, and that's why we actually cut a few of them. I think it's always been just the worst card, but I wanted to find some room for the Anthem effect as well as a little bit of removal in the form of Mortify. So we'll see how this is. Alright, ooh, our opponent is down to 5 magic cards. That's not great for them. Alright, so vampires. Alright. Get the aspirant here. So, I mean, obviously our nut draw is Sorin within the next couple of turns. But if not, it's not the worst. But yeah, Sorin off the top here is just broken. We'd get a Planeswalker, we'd get a 4/4, we get to draw 3 cards and lose 3. I mean, that's really what this deck is all about, is we're just trying to max out how good the new Sorin can truly be. Alright, a little Sultai action. Sultai is actually not the greatest of matchups here, and we're not really doing anything here. This is kind of awkward with unclaimed territory here, and that's why I don't have a full 4 in here, just because it is pretty bad with this. As well as like Mortify or something like that. I think 2 is a pretty good number, but of course I could be wrong. Yeah, our hand did not develop very well as of right now. Okay, so that's good. So I think we're still just going to get in there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we can't ascend or anything. So we're just going to get in there. We're okay with them trading 2 Llanowar Elves for 1 of our creatures. Even if it is the Lieutenant, which kind of takes away our aggression, but worth it to me. Now, this could be a cast down and a block here. Ooh, actually, that's great. That's great. Now we get to play it right away. Now I love that. Love that Assassin's Trophy. And we get to keep the creature. Oh, yeah. All right, draw 2, lose 2. Now we just get to get this train going. Now if we top deck a land, we can Legion's Landing plus Champion to draw even more cards. And we have the Conquistador. Obviously not as good to draw late, but still a fine card. So now we want to try to kill Nissa. And one way to do so... Okay. One way to do so here is to ascend. And 5, 6... 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so Legion Landing does ascend us here. And if we ascend, that means this flies and this would have to be chump blocked, which we're okay with that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go Legion's Landing. This will give us 2 permanents. The ascend. Now, I still think we just want to play Champion of Dusk again. We're going to go both here. Putting our opponent to the test here. Do they want to lose their Watery Grave to keep Nissa alive? And I wouldn't see why they wouldn't. With one card especially, I mean, if that's a crisis, they can actually get back into the game that way. But us pressuring them like this and making them make this chump block, I think is much better than just putting them to 4. Because then they can start to amass an amount of creatures with Nissa that is actually terrifying. So now we'll lose 4. We're going to go to 10. A little scary, but... you know, we just drew so much gas, and now that's the card I was really looking for. Sanctum Seeker kind of refuels the life total, as well as Oath of Kaya to gain a little bit more life. I mean, now we just get to go buck wild. Champion of Dusk, this really is a Champion of Dusk deck, but it just so happens to play other cards. Okay, so now let's think about our options. So immediately what I'm kind of seeing is like Oath of Kaya plus Sanctum Seeker. Oathing this... Sanctum Seeker, probably just attacking face. They could go chump chump, take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's not lethal. Now what about... oh, we do have this as well. So we could go Lieutenant, Sanctum Seeker, attack... no, then we can't replay this. I think it's just Oath and Sanctum Seeker. It seems pretty hard to lose by doing that. I don't even think I want to go at Nissa. Now, if we go face, our opponent just has to double chump. Is that correct? So it doesn't chump, takes 5... 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so it has to just go double chump. So... yeah, I think it's just all at the face now, because they're going to lose so much of their resources here. We also get to transform Legion's Landing. Gain 4, they lose 4. And then play another Legion's Landing, because YOLO! Alright, yeah, so they have one block here. It's just double blocking this. They could have a removal or something like that, but we've definitely put them into a rough spot here. And now they could have something like Finality, but that's okay. And we'll ship it back. Yeah, so they could have Finality right now, which would be very strong. Or Crisis. Crisis is not enough to keep him in this game, though. Not even close. 2 blockers, then they still take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. And 17 if they tap the land. Yeah, they'd still be casually taking 17 damage here, and that's without this. This adds another 5, so they're going to be taking 22. Yeah. They're so wildly dead. They're taking 22 that turn. Okay, Sultai, though, is a bit of a problem. You have to make sure you deal with their Nissas and Wild Growth Walkers and all their Sweepers. So I really like Duresses and Noxious Grips. Now, what don't we like? Conquistador seems a little underpowered. Vanguard seems okay. It's definitely great with this. Mortify seems okay as well. We don't have too much removal. And we probably don't want too many Duresses. Yeah, I think probably Conquistadors. Kind of just slow down a little bit. And I don't even think I want the Icon of Ancestries. I think that's a little too slow. Whenever they're destroying our board, whenever they're using Kaya's Wrath or Finality, bringing in Anthem effects is usually not where you want to be, just because it's usually a card that's going to do nothing if you get your board Wrath. It does have the effect to find more stuff, but you usually don't have that kind of time when you're fighting against a Nissa. So I think this is enough disruption where we're still aggressive enough. Ixalan's Binding's not very good because they do have like Assassin's Trophy. So yeah, we're going to try this. Alright, game 2. Playing against the Great name. Just the... Alright, so I do think Sultai is going to be a bit of a rough matchup. It's kind of like Sultai or Golgari back when Golgari was like the best deck against White Weenie. Just the finalities are just so good against us that it's kind of hard to deal with, but the sound is good. Got this for the Wild Growth Walker if that's the case. Or Nissa, of course. This card's very versatile. Bunch of lieutenants if we can get the time. Alright, well. We'll attack. We're going to get an Adonto down. A card that's pretty tough to deal with if they don't have Cry of the Carnarium, which they easily could, but... No Cry quite yet. Alright. Well, I'm definitely just going to go all in. Alright, I'm definitely going to do this. I'm not 1,000,000,000% sure I'm going to play Aspirant here. This kind of seems like enough of a board presence here. So what are we afraid of? I guess we're afraid of Ritual Soot. Definitely could be something they could do. We already would get to transform Legion's Landing. But the only thing that I like playing the Aspirant for is if they just go something like Ravenous Chupacabra. So if we're trying to play around like the small ball stuff, I think Aspirant's still great because they would Chupacabra the Lieutenant, and then we could just play another Lieutenant and then attack and flip Legion's Landing. Alright, we'll disable the emotes for... Doesn't everybody just love that? Alright, let's see... I think I'm just going to say go. We're going to hold it so we have a little bit of gas in the tank. So I think they would have to Ritual Soot here anyways if they have it. Okay. So, and for one? Oh, man. Impressive. Oh, Sanctum Seeker. Yeah, I think it's time. Get him. Flip. And now Ritual Soot doesn't even kill everything. That's the nice thing about Sanctum Seeker. Do we need to play this then? Why not? We're going all in. Should we give him a Yurgo? Oh no, that's why they did it for one. Ah. Thought it was a misclick. Dang. Okay. Now we got a game. They're only at 2 though, so this shouldn't be too bad. Oh, now they're just dead. The power of Sorin. Oh yeah. Hello. Sack a vampire, throw it at their face. Well, our opponent had a little bit of trouble on the first game with the mulligans, but the second game they actually played great. You know, we thought it was a misclick, so I was like, well, I don't even know if I want to show this video if our opponent's just screwing up that badly, but they did do it strategically, so Massacre Girl would kill everything. But then we show the reach of what this vampire deck can do. You just... Most vampire lists, once you wrath the board, it's like, okay, I have to try to come back when now I'm going to play a couple of little creatures and my opponent's going to do a giant Hydroid Crisis and I'm going to fall infinitely behind. But that's not the case anymore. This is a deck that now has reach with Sorin. Sorin does everything. It enables your nut draws where you get to negative and bring in Champion of Dusk on turn 3. I mean, I've had games where I go 1-drop, double 1-drop on turn 2, Champion on turn 4, and they happen to be Knight of the Elbon whatever, and then I lost 4, so it triggered. Like, I mean, I've done so much disgusting stuff, and it's all on the back of new Sorin. It is unbelievable, and I'm excited to show all of you the true power of this deck. So stay tuned for round 2. We're going to abuse this vampire synergy a little bit more. Stay tuned. And we're back with round 2 here with Turbo Vamps. Alright, so this hand is a little questionable, and this kind of highlights a little bit of the risks of playing black-white right now, of playing Orzhov. It's just the plain fact that the mana base just isn't that good, plain and simple. You could play Temples, but we're too aggressive of a deck that they're kind of bad. So I'm going to keep this because our hand is all black here. And we're on the draw, and we get to go 1-drop into double 1-drop. So if we're playing against any like Nexus style deck, like we might just be able to jam. And now, oh my god. So we have the nut draw possible here. If we can draw land in the next 2 turns, we have 1-drop into double 1-drop into Sorin into Champion of Dusk, trigger off Knight because we lose 4 life. Oh yeah, let's hope we can do it. This could be insane. This could be insane. This is the making of a busted hand. Alright, Conquistador, which hits for 2, so it's a big hitter. Doesn't do much in the face of that, though, unfortunately. Alright, so now our opponent does get to kind of go off against us. Is it Arclight Phoenix? There's a Phoenix. Land, please. It would be so cool. Otherwise, we don't really have a play, so that would be a bit of a tilt. Alright, well, our play is not as good now. Our opponent's draw is great as well. And we are a little weak to a Goblin Electromancer because we don't have a lot of spot removal. Ugh. Now we're going to be losing this one. We had the makings of a beautiful one here. But now this looks pretty bad. Yeah, sometimes this deck's draws are just insane, and sometimes they're very lacking. It is kind of like a White Weenie deck where you have to have a streamlined configuration of draws, except the mana base is a little worse. We'll take the beats. Okay. Alright, that's game. That was unfortunate. I still stand by the keep. Because if we would have drawn it on that 3rd turn, I still think we would have been okay. Even though they did interact quite well with us. Alright, so Ixalan's Binding is very good against blue-red. D-Spark is very good at dealing with Arclight Phoenixes and Crackling Drakes. And Cast Down deals with just about everything, as well as the Goblin Electromancers. So, cards we want to take out. I think we saw kind of why Conquistador is going to be a little bad. Just the fact if they play Electromancer on 2 and we don't have the removal for it, it's just a dead card. So we're going to take that out. Adonto Vanguard is the best card in the matchup, so we'll be keeping that in. Now, I'm looking to probably take out either Mortify. Yeah, probably Mortify here. I don't want too much removal, and I actually think Icon would be pretty strong because they don't have many answers to it, and the drain effect from Sanctum Seeker, as well as not being able to be Lightning Striked, would be pretty good as well. So I'm leaning on this. We still have plenty of vampires to make Icon good. Othakaya is still fine. Could do some amount of Duresses. But I think I would rather have the extra removal for Goblin Electromancer. So we're going to run this. Alright, we got slapped that game. We got slapped that game, my friends. Alright, I have high hopes for this one, though. So game 2 here against Is It Phoenix will be on the play. Okay. Yeah, this is fine. Not anything spectacular because we don't have a 2-drop, but still fine. Now, Icon could be pretty bad here. It's a card I'm still a little unsure of if it even deserves a spot, but for now I think it's okay. Now at least we do have the answer to the Electromancer if that is played. But you can kind of see again how our mana base is not really agreeing with us with the double black and then double white spell. Alright, Discovery, we don't care too much about. We get to get an icon down. Or, once again, if we top deck Sorin, it is the Blade right now. I would assume the amount of games where I go Sorin, down tick into Champion on turn 3, I'd probably win 95% of those games. It's that busted. Not bad, at least it's a black source. So we're going to go with Vampires. And now we always have something to do, at least with our mana, which sometimes can be a problem. Not often with Champion of Dust, because they do chain well with each other's. Okay. So we're going to want to kill that immediately. And then we'll have Champion for the turn after. Double Champion. Okay, so Oath. And now if we ever do get the Planeswalkers, the ability doesn't come up a lot. But this is a deck that kind of hits you hard right away and then can slowly deal those last points of damage, similar to like Mono Red Burn. Alright, old Crackles. A strong card, definitely. Well, this seems good. So I think we just want to cast this, draw 2 cards. Or we just play Champion. And it is a 5/5, so it's going to be out of basically all sides of removal. So what the benefit of playing Sorin and down ticking is if we draw a 2-mana thing, like a cast down would be ideal, but I don't think, because otherwise it's just going to die. So I think I'm going to just go Champion here. If we draw a cast down, it feels bad, man, but no, that's even better. Even better. Okay, but to be fair, I would have wanted to binding this anyways, so it might be okay. Dang it, though. We would have hit. That would have been insane. The radical idea. So might have a Arclight Phoenix draw here. Hopefully not another one. No. Don't do me like that. Okay, good. Are they getting busy? Probably not. So we do have some great plays next turn. Okay, that's kind of what we wanted. So we're going to Ixalan's Binding away the Crackling Drakes. And like I said, white enchantment base removal is insane against them. Then we're going to despark the Arclight Phoenix. Black-white has just phenomenal removal. I don't know exactly the perfect combination. This deck is rather new to me. It's been insane in testing, but still there are holes to be figured out still. So now I think they have to find a Beacon Bolt. But no more Crackling Drakes leaves them pretty low on ways to actually kill me. That'll do some good work. Okay. Now they are just 1 point away from dying to Sorin here. Or wait, I think they're dead if we just draw a Vampire, right? Now we can just go Sanctum Seeker and attack and then try to kill him next turn with this. That seems like the play. Or we could just go Champion of Dusk and hope to get a land and then just do both of these next turn. Tricky. Only 3 cards, so I'm not too worried. This is an interesting one. We're going to take our time out on this, do some thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking just Champion here. Yeah, we're going to do this. Draw a couple cards. Okay. We're gonna go face. It's gonna get chump blocked. And then next turn we just can go wild with Sorin, bring in a Sanctum Seeker, and then Sorin to throw the Sanctum Seeker. Another radical idea? Wow, okay, so they definitely are going to have gas in the tank for a while. I mean, that's just what this deck does, right? It's just like infinite ways to keep looking, but it doesn't really have a ton of actual answers. So discarded Crackling Drake there, that's funny. Because, like, there's no way to get rid of Ixalan's Bindings from the blue-red shell. That's why it's white-based enchantment removal has always been so good. Similar to Pro Tour Guilds of Ravnica, where Andrew Ellenbogen won with white and LSV took second with white. Izzet Phoenix was a deck, but it got pushed away because of all these Conclave Tribunals. You just couldn't do anything about it. They were just perfect answers to your deck. And there goes another Crackling Drake. Ixalan's Binding, ladies and gentlemen. It's now just one red, so I'm not too worried about this. They're getting busy. Okay, so now we just go Sanctum Seeker. Oh, I should have did that in the other order. If they have Spell Pierce, I don't know why they would leave in Spell Pierce, but they can actually stay alive for another turn here. Are they trying to take one down? Yep. Oh yeah, they only have one red open. They can't have anything. They're dead. They did. Alright. Damage. Boom, 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 boom. Alright, then we'll drop the sword and end the game. Sack this vamp. Throw it upstairs. Throw in vamps. Throw in vamps. Alright, game 3. So that felt good. These games haven't felt too real so far. It's just been kind of utter domination. So Mortify seems okay on the draw. I'm a little more inclined to play it, but we don't want to overload on removal. Icon seemed okay, but it definitely didn't seem like anything busted. So I think on the draw, we're going to just go down to one of them, because I probably never want to draw a second, and bring in one Mortify for Crackling Drakes. Now, the card that's kind of a problem that I don't really have a great answer for with this configuration is Saheeli. Saheeli, like, kind of is just protected against our list. Like, we have the Ixalan's Binding, but those usually want to be aimed at something else, but we'll see. So we have one of our best cards here, Adanto Vanguard, plus if we get a land, we get to have the nut draw, so we're definitely keeping this. Okay. At least now, if we don't hit that third land, we do have another decent play. Now, no Electromancer because our hand still is kind of weak to that. Okay. Oh, baby! This is going to be nice. I think we just want to do this. And now, there is a cool trick you can do here. You can just pay and then get Knight big right away. Now, do we want to just throw away 4 damage for this? I don't think so. But that is an option here to keep in mind, okay? And against, like, Nexus or something, snap pay every time. Now, this draw is insane. Oh my god, they're so in trouble. This draw is going to be bonkers. Oh, no, and they're missing lands. They kept a bit of a loose goose. Oh my god, we just can't possibly lose. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sorin. This is the nut draw. I mean, we could have had We could have had, like, you know, 2 1-drops instead, but, I mean, look at this. And now they take 4, so Knight triggers. Next turn we can go double Legion Lieutenant plus give Adanto lifelink here. Like, they're just so dead. I mean, yeah, you know, they did have a bit of an unfortunate draw here with opting and doing that, but I think they're just dead. I think they're just dead. Okay, so that's Sanctum Seeker. So this is plus 6. So 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, they're just dead to the 2 lieutenants. We have 3 extra damage. We could deal 18 on turn 4 right now. That's 15. Turn 1 Knight, turn 2 Adanto Vanguard, turn 3 Sorin, bring in a Champion of Dust, turn 4 double Lieutenant, you're dead. Not Xaxes, -3. We could have still thrown a Vampire. So we dealt, by turn 4, 23 damage. Granted, they didn't have any disruption, but there wasn't much they could actually do, you know? I think this deck is the real deal. Stay tuned for our 3rd and final round here, everyone. And welcome to our 3rd and final rounds here with Fast Vampires. Okay, this is a questionable one. On the play, I think I would keep this. But with the new London Mulligan rule, I think this hand is just barely a mulligan. 5 lands, a 5-drop. I mean, if we had a Sorin, this hand would be great, but I think we're going to mulligan this one. This hand's not much better, but we're definitely going to keep. Now, I think we want to start with Conquistador. So we're going to put the plains on the bottom. But yeah, not a great opening hand here, but you can't mold to 5 with this. The Lawnmower. Alright, start with the Conquistador. Obviously, our hand is not developing too well here. Ooh, that was pretty good. Alright, so we'll get in there for 2. Now we'll play an Adanto. We'll ship it back. And now we are attacking for 5 on turn 3 already, you know, so this... Oh! Oh! Well, get on in there. Well, now we're looking great. Alright. Well, this draw turned out nicely. If we can get a follow-up next turn. Sanctum Seeker. One time. No land again. We don't even know what our opponent's playing. I'm guessing a Nissa deck. We'll show our kitty whiskers here. Well, that's kind of unfortunate. For them. I'll take wins. I'll take wins where I can get them. Alright, well, green decks, we're definitely bringing Grasp. On the draw, I like killing elves with cast downs. And Conquistadors on the draw. I really like them on the play, and they're phenomenal against decks like Nexus or non-hero Esper because they're still 1-mana 2/2s. But when they can be blocked by creatures on the draw, they do get significantly worse. But just because I've been taking them out a lot when they're on the draw doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. I know this is a popular comment I get, like, you took this card out every time, like, why don't you just not play it? Games change. So post-board, you play, your configuration has a lot more removal. With that being the case, you have to trim on some creatures, and it's just the worst creature out of the bunch. So yeah, if there is a better creature, then sure, but... Alright, what else would we like? We don't know exactly what we're up against. But some green-based decks, Vana can be insane. So I think we're going to take out the Anthems. Or maybe the Mortifies. Mortifies are a little slow. We'll leave in the Anthems. They could be great. Adanto's just too good of a card in my opinion. We're gonna run it like this, but once again, we don't know exactly what we're up against, so we don't have perfect information. So I'm not saying I'm sideboarding perfectly for this one. Okay. Yep, can't keep this one, so we'll mulligan. Alright, we might not have a actual game here either. So this sounds fine. So we definitely want... Your opponent goes first, huh? So I would say we don't want this. And don't want this. Keep this hand. We're hoping to draw a land with this, but yeah, I think it's our best 5. Not bad. Still gonna need a land, but there's a chance we just grasp an elf. So was it Gruul the whole time? If so, Noxious Grasp is not that good. I was thinking it was more a green-blue based deck. Because I would imagine there's no Nissas in Gruul. Okay. Now we probably just want to grasp Domri, though. Domri is quite good.
I'll be back after I've licked my words. You'll see.
Now we got Sorin next turn. Glad we bought him to land. Rekindling Phoenix is great. Ooh, dinos! Okay. Not too excellent right now, but I think to be mana efficient, we're going to play this. I'm definitely going to take these out against Gruul. Any deck that has a large amount of removal, this gets way worse. Ooh. Okay. I guess we put a counter on this? No, I think we're just going to pump. Just gonna say go. Hope they don't have another removal spell. Pump or activate this. This does shut down Charging Monstersaur, which is just insane that this 1-drop shuts that down. Granted, it needed a little help from the icon. But this icon is going to be nice here. If they can attack, then we just get to icon. Okay. I mean, I think we still have to just block it. I'm down with that 1-drop trade for the Charging Monstersaur. Alright, now champion or something would be great. Ooh. That's not good. Vana could maybe get us out of this. I don't think so. 9, 10, 11. Okay. Yeah, because they could just fight with Ripjaw. So we can go 2 creatures here. All right, we'll see what's up. I think we're dead, but
I drink only the finest.
put a Vana into play. Put a Knight. Say go. All right, we're definitely going to be bringing in all our D-Sparks. D-Sparks are excellent against dinos. Cast downs are also great. Cast down, D-Spark, and Noxious Grasp pretty much kill everything. Grasp is actually a little more narrow. Okay, so we get to gain 5. They get to draw a card. And now we actually can just make a profitable block here. Ooh. Not anymore. The classic dinos versus vampires fight. Great attacks by our opponent. Should pretty much seal this up. Yeah. Okay, that was a mulligan to 5. And we were competitive. We were kind of dominated the whole time, but we also didn't know what deck we were playing against. I would not have guessed dinos. Okay, so D-Sparks are great. Ixalan's Bindings are also great against Gruul. Definitely don't want Conquistadors against him. Vana does seem okay, but maybe not the best. Vana's like great against Nexus. Pretty strong against like hero decks and stuff, but not positive on this matchup. Kinsey just not wanting Legion's Landing as well. Just going something like this. And we have a lot of great removal. Othakaya is actually pretty bad. Could see just going like this, winning with 5 drops. Winning with 5 drops and great removal. Or I'm thinking about Mortify. Alright, we're going to go the 1-1 split. It's just not good. I really don't think Legion's Landing is that good. We're going to go 1-1 here. Never want to draw 2 Vanas. Alright, so we're on the play in our final game of this week's deck primer here with fast vampires. This is what I'd play if I was going to Worcester as well. Alright. We'll take it. We'll take it. We got an aggressive draw. Knight into Legion. Vampire. Plus a little removal. Splashed in there. Alright, now top deck Sorin, please. The beats. Now if they play a creature that is like tricky to kill, at least we could cast down. Okay. Sorin. Sorin. That would have been insane. Still not bad here. Now next turn we'd have a removal spell, and if we draw land, we'd have a champion here. Okay, that's not a big deal. Okay. So we're going to try to get him here a little bit. See if they try to trade. It'd be quite risky. But just taking 6 here is not great either for him. Nice. Got him. So we kill the dino, and then this is just a chump block. Now we have a D-Spark if they go like land, Ripjaw Raptor, which would be excellent. Land, Ripjaw Raptor. 4-drop. Kindling Phoenix. Phoenix, Phoenix. Not a Domri. That's pretty strong. Ugh. Not in love with that. Alright, we're still just going to go here. Try to eliminate resources here. It's taking 3. I go like this. Hope they just play something giant that we can D-Spark and then deal with Domri plus hitting them for 4 next turn. That's going to be the goal. And then obviously drawing a line for Champion of Dust, being able to... okay, so this hopefully is Ripjaw Raptor. Or Charging Monster. Regardless, I'm guessing we're going to get a good D-Spark target. Dang. It's a good D-Spark target, but unfortunately they get something to hang after. So we would like them to actually attack here, so we're going to let them. Yeah. Give him the chance to make a mistake. Sure. Take it. So now we get to kill Domri plus get in for 4. Dang it. Still not a bad card. Being able to pump that is pretty real. Alright, so here to the face. Here. Now we're out of removal though, so it's going to be a little trickier, but this card just gets gigantic. Like a Charging Monstersaur is just tiny compared to this Knight. And I forgot about the counter here. Okay. Okay. I'm guessing a fight on Lieutenant. Yeah. Not actually that big of a deal. Sure. Now we just get to send both creatures at the face. And they have to chump block at least one of them. Okay, we don't want to play that. Face. We're sitting good. Okay, we're just going to let that happen. And we'll drop this. Unfortunately, the Knight doesn't grow, but I'd rather progress my board. Now we just have 2 lethal attackers again next turn, so they have to top deck something. Boom! 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Oh, man, I wish I was going to the SCG this weekend. I would play this, and I would be very happy to be playing it. So please, all I ask is somebody picks up this dex and wins the SCG, wins this SCG this weekend with it, because this deck is the real deal. I really think normal vampires are going to lose to Nexus pretty badly, because cards like Sorin and Dust Legion Zealot or whatever are very slow, and they're good at accruing value, which is fine, but those kind of Nexus decks are going to be able to beat just a Duress, you know? But if we're a really fast, aggressive decks, Nexus decks already have struggles with that. So if we're able to combine aggression with a small amount of disruption, that is where I would want to be for week 1 in Standard, and I think this is a perfect deck for the SCG, and I'm kind of considering just snapping off going because I love this deck so much. Anyways, everybody, that does it for me. Stay tuned for the deck tech where, or the recap where we'll talk a little bit more about the games in detail, okay? We'll see you over there. And welcome to the recap here with Fast Vampires. Wow. Well, that was a beating. We destroyed them. We absolutely destroyed everyone very mercilessly. So I think some takeaways from this. I really love how the deck is aggressively slanted with the addition of, from the standard vampires list we've seen in the past, Sanctum Seeker and Conquistador are kind of the special additions that maybe we haven't seen in week 1 deck list so far. And I think they add a bit of consistency, and I think just being able to trim on a land and add unclaimed territory to make the mana base a little bit more smooth adds a lot to this deck. So things that I really liked was the aggression that we were allowed to do based on those additions. Vampire still has these nut draws where you go Sorin, down tick, bring in Champion of Dusk, and it's really hard for any other deck to compete with that as long as you have some other form of disruption for whatever kind of threats that your opponent is throwing at you. But outside of that, I would say some of the cons. I really didn't like Icon of Ancestry. I think the card's pretty bad. Moving forward, I would probably cut that. In its place, I would probably add a little bit more disruption. I think I either like Cast Down, Mortify, or Othakaya. Maybe one Sorin, maybe Gideon. So these are the things I'm thinking. Either like one Gideon, one big Sorin, the 4-mana Sorin, or a third Mortify and a second Othakaya. those would probably be my additions moving forward. Legion's Landing is another card that really did not impress me. I really thought, it just seems crazy to not like Legion's Landing, but maybe we just didn't play the matchups where it's prevalent, but we're not doing the same kind of grindy stuff that we were doing before. Granted, we didn't get into those games where you're just making a Legion's Landing token and throwing the token with Sorin Imperious Bloodlord at people. That does happen, so maybe I'm being a little too quick to dismiss that card because it's Legion's Landing. Let's get real. I mean, the card does so much. It helps get you to Ascend. It really is a fantastically strong card. But other than that, I love the main deck. So moving forward, I would probably say get rid of Icons. We'll move to the sideboard here. I really liked everything here. Not too much to talk about. I think the numbers are pretty great right now. I don't think I would change a thing as far as the sideboard. It seems great. You need those 4 duresses for matchups like Nexus or Esper Control. This deck doesn't really do well against mass removal, and that's why you really have to be able to manipulate your opponent's hand. So we'll do a quick recap of what we played against. Round 1, we played against Sultai, a matchup that kind of notoriously has been bad in the past. Little white creatures against Fine Finalities, Ritual of Soot, Cry of the Carnariums, plus Wild Growth Walker package is usually a recipe for disaster. This deck, on the other hand, does have a lot more reach with Sorin Imperious Bloodlord, that if they do destroy your battlefield, you're usually able to get a couple good hits in and then kind of just burn them out, similar like you would do against Mono Red. Our opponent had a horrific game 1 where they mulliganed, and then game 2, they actually stabilized against us with a Massacre Girl, and then we were able to pull ahead just by what I was saying. Top deck Saurius Imperious Bloodlord, we're like, oh look, your go. They did spam us with emotes constantly, so it felt good to top deck against them. Alright, so round 2 we played against Is It Phoenix? This is a matchup I do think is good, mainly because of one card. Adanto Vanguard is a house against blue-red strategies. Melody is the only thing that truly answers it, and this deck is producing so many creatures and so many big threats on top of Adanto Vanguard that they usually don't have time to go on turn 4 or turn 3 if they have Goblin Electromancer, steal your Vanguard. If they're on the play, that usually is fast enough. If they go Electromancer, turn 2 or turn 3, Melody your Vanguard that you just played on turn 2, they're probably going to win that game. That exchange is pretty bad for us. But we were able to best them, even though they got us game 1 when our draw did not line up. But then games 2 and 3, I remember game 2 was pretty average. We got him with Ixalan's Binding, a card that is amazing against Is It Phoenix. Ixalan Binding their Crackling Drakes, and they just discarded 2 Crackling Drakes to Radical Idea when they would have been game ending. So Ixalan's Binding definitely deserves the slot, and then we were able to de-spark away an Arclight Phoenix and really push through for the win. And then, if you didn't see game 3 of round 2, please go watch it. That is what we call the Blade. We absolutely destroyed them game 3 with just the nut draw. It was insane. And then round 3 that we just saw against Green-Red Dinos, a little bit of a similar story. Game 1, they stumbled a little bit. Yeah, it seemed like every single round we had, game 1 was a non-game. Either we got crushed because of our draws, or we crushed our opponents savagely because of their draws. And then we got crushed game 2 because, granted, I didn't really know what we were siding against. We didn't bring in D-Spark, which is one of the best cards against them. And then game 3, we were able to just capitalize on a pretty aggressive draw and deal with their threats on a one-for-one basis while still keeping our aggression. That's what makes this deck great, is you have those key amount of removal spells that are very flexible in every matchup. You'll see a lot of 2 and 3 ofs tops, 2 cast downs, 2 D-Sparks, 2 Bindings, 2 Mortifies, 3 Noxious Grasp, because each of these is good in a particular matchup, and you usually never want more than like 5 removals when it comes to a matchup. So granted, you have that switching power that is very versatile. And then, yeah, we were able to win game 3 pretty easily. Now, things I love about this deck, I love Sanctum Seeker. It's a card that's really tough to kill right now. Sure, Lava Coil, but it already kind of has haste. It's kind of like Hell Rider. For anybody who remembers that busted card, you're able to get your value and your damage in the turn you play it, as well as if it ever lives, it's just game over. As well as you can go Sorin, down tick, bring in a Sanctum Seeker, attack with 2 creatures, drain, and stuff like that, and that's still a fine play. One thing we didn't see is how great this deck is against Nexus. Excuse me. Because if you see like Root Snare, I mean, basically the way that they would beat these white-based aggressive decks, you see Root Snare, and we can kind of get around that with Vicious Conquistador and Sanctum Seeker. If they go to fog us, if we're still assembling a big board and we go Sanctum Seeker and we have 7 creatures, like, okay, you fogged, but take 7. And I think Nexus is going to be very big for week 1. I think Elementals is going to be big, which I'm not sure how that matchup goes. So I really think this is going to be a great deck for week 1 at SCG Standard. So I highly recommend it. Leave questions, concerns in the comments if you would like. I'm happy to answer questions. And please, someone go win this SCG for me with this list. Maybe, change the icons. I don't like those, but then win with this 73 out of 75, and I will be a happy Corey, okay? All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week for more Standard action. Bye-bye.